A Republican congressman from Pennsylvania went on Fox Business Network to discuss impeachment, and this is a galaxy brain take that we just had to discuss.
The markets are doing incredible despite the impeachment standoff that we're dealing with in Washington. And Congress right now obviously is in recess, but Democrats are wasting no time. They are defending their push for witnesses in an impeachment trial in the Senate. Let's bring in Pennsylvania Congressman, House Judiciary Committee member, and House Armed Services Committee member, Guy Reschenthaler. Congressman, good morning.
Cheryl, Merry Christmas, and thanks for having me on.
I have to ask you this. You sit back and you look at the markets, and we're discussing the markets this morning, in the middle of what has consumed Washington, which is the battle over impeachment, impeaching President Trump. Your reaction to that?
Well, just a few things. We have to remember that the impeachment fiasco has in part been a distraction from two things. One, the longer that we're talking about impeachment, it means we're not talking about the red-hot Trump economy, so it's a distraction. And also, the more we're talking about impeachment, we're not talking about the Democrats' agenda, which has gone far left. We're not talking about the Green New Deal, which is absolutely ludicrous. We're not talking about giving taxpayer-funded health care to illegal immigrants. We're not talking about their far-left radical agenda. We're not talking about the red-hot Trump economy. We're talking about impeachment.
That is a special take if I've ever seen one. Every poll shows that this far-left ideology that you're talking about is massively popular. You know, we could bring up an amalgamation of different polls to make that case, or I could show you, the go-to example, which is Vox during the last election polled people specifically on, a bunch of Bernie Sanders policy positions and his agenda, and every single one was overwhelmingly popular. Every single position of his was overwhelmingly popular. Guys, they're just wrong. Left-wing policy proposals and ideas are super popular. Super popular. What he tries to do is cherry-pick a few fringe examples of the opposite to then build a case. So one thing he mentions is giving, free healthcare to undocumented immigrants. That does not poll over 50%, I believe. However, that's their straw man when they discuss Medicare for all. That's how they, glibly and smugly swat it aside. They're like, oh, you just want to give healthcare to undocumented immigrants. You want to give healthcare to all Americans as well, free at the point of service. You didn't mention that part. I wonder why. Perhaps because you know that part is very popular. And the funny one is the Green New Deal. Now, the Green New Deal has been picked apart to no end, and people have pointed at certain provisions, and they've lost their minds, and there's also just been flat-out misinformation about that being spread around. But to be fair, I also think that the rollout was terrible, and I think they put too many things in one bill. So there's a lot to criticize there. However, there's polls that showed literally over 80% support for a Green New Deal. Why? Because the idea in theory is beautiful. Oh, let's do a new deal, so another new deal, create millions of jobs, and also have it focused on green and renewable technology, which is the wave of the future, which we need to get off of our addiction to fossil fuels. So even some of the examples he picks there of the left ideas are unpopular are popular. So it's unbelievable. And the final point here is he says, well, the markets. Oh my God, the markets. Yes, the markets are so wonderful. That's not a good indicator of how your average person is doing. But they use this as the go-to talking point of, oh, the economy's doing so well because the markets are doing so well. A lot of the reasons the markets are it's corporate profits and it's stock buybacks and it's all that nonsense. Wages are still stagnant. You got the unemployment rate is low, but you also have underemployed people as well. Plus, they're not using the accurate unemployment rate. You have to double the unemployment rate to get the accurate unemployment rate number. It's called the U6 or U7 unemployment rate, which is a more accurate reflection of what the actual unemployment number is. So they're not giving you the solid number. And by the way, Trump used to give the accurate number. Now he gives the standard one because it makes him look better. But that's all they have is the stock market's doing well. Really? You want to talk about how many Americans are living paycheck to paycheck? You want to talk about the 7 million Americans who lost their health insurance under Donald Trump? You want to talk about any of the thousands of indicators that are terrible and scary and bad? No, you don't. You only want to point to the stock market. Well, listen, I told you guys before, we're in a bubble and it's going to burst, and then what are these guys going to say? They got nothing to say. So what a galaxy brain take. Democrats are using impeachment to distract from their far-left agenda. No, the far-left agenda is popular, and they should be pushing for that. The reality is they are using impeachment to resist Trump without resisting, because they secretly agree with him on all of his corporatism. They agree with him on his wars. They agree with him on his corporatism. They're giving him everything he wants. His unpopular agenda, they're giving him everything as they pretend to resist by doing the Mick resistance, the fake resistance. Oh, impeachment, which isn't going to go anywhere, but it'll at least make me look like I'm resisting strongly. That's the real answer.